Words of the day: save the earth. Maurice strong. 20 years ago in Stockholm, the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment placed environmental issues on the world's agenda. In June 1992, the leaders of all the nations of the world will gather together in Rio de Janeiro for an unprecedented Earth Summit to agree on a series of measures which could determine the future of our planet as a hospitable home for human and other forms of life. Despite progress made on many fronts since the Stockholm Conference, the environment has deteriorated alarmingly during the past 20 years. The ecological imperatives and opportunities so clearly and cogently presented in this book demonstrate that we must now effect a major shift in our priorities and in our time horizons. We must act wisely and responsibly to produce a future that will be more secure and sustainable for those who come after us. As Jonathan Porritt says, poverty is one of the greatest threats to the environment. The day-by-day struggle for survival drives the poor of the world to undermine and destroy the resources on which their future depends. The prospect of breaking out of the vicious cycle of poverty and environmental destruction thus depends on development. This is why the 1992 Earth Summit is about environment and development. Its primary purpose is to move the environment issue into the center of economic policy and decision-making, to ensure that both developing and industrialized countries can make the transition to the more environmentally sound and sustainable development pathways that are the key to our common future. To effect this transition will take a major shift in political will and corresponding changes in aspirations and priorities. There are hopeful signs in the growing environmental concerns of governments, industry, and people, often mobilized through non-governmental organizations. The success of the Earth Summit in providing the basis for the transition to sustainability will depend on the concrete measures it adopts. These are expected to include conventions to limit climate change and preserve biodiversity, an Earth Charter, setting out the principles of sustainability, an agreed agenda for the 21st century, incorporating specific actions to give effect to these principles, and agreement on means to ensure their implementation through financial resources, technology transfer, and institutional change. In the final analysis, the response of the world leaders at the Earth Summit will depend largely on the political will of their own people. This, in turn, will rest on their level of awareness and understanding of the decisions to be taken. Words of the day: save the earth.